Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. The plastic bag hit the table and burst open, pills skittered. I froze with a fork in midair. My mother reached first, quick hands gathering the evidence. Anna stared at me like the room had lied. Something else was about to fall. I'm Marks 34. Anna lifted one blister between two fingers. What is this? Her voice steady and razor thin. Max watched our mouths like a referee. I counted heartbeats that would not slow. Her phone buzzed, new email, she did not blink. Unreported incidents, she read, each syllable clipped clean. Max flinched at the word incidents and pushed his chair. My mother touched his shoulder like a claim. I felt my throat lock. Take your hands off him. Anna didn't raise her voice. The hand stayed, then lifted slowly like a dare. I stood and my knee banged the table edge. The pills rattled again and one rolled near Max. He stared as if it were hot. Who gave him these? Anna held the empty sleeve up. I reached for air that would not come. Max leaned down for the rolling tablet and hesitated. My mother flicked it into her palm, smooth and fast. Anna followed the motion like a hawk. You went around me. She placed the sleeve down. Look at me. She waited while I tried to look. My voice scraped out with nothing helpful inside. Say it, she pressed, eyes steady and tired. The table became a witness. Max reached for the water and missed the glass. It tipped and spread under the kitchen clock. He tried to mop with his sleeve and froze. Anna moved to help him and stopped halfway. We all stared at the clock for nothing. Her phone lit again and a voicemail chimed twice. She set it on speaker with a small tap. The counselor's voice filled our kitchen with careful words. Another incident today, then a pause that never breathed. Max gripped his knees and stared at the floor. Turn that off. My mother's jaw tightened at the counter. Anna left it on and folded her arms clean. The recording described scissors and panic and a cut. I watched Max's fingers curl into fists and loosen. My pulse felt counted by another person. Were you called? Anna asked without looking away. Who knew first? Her hand hovered near the phone. My mother drew a breath that sounded like jurisdiction. Handled, she said, clipped and tidy like a stamp. Anna's eyes landed on me instead. Max pulled at the skin around his thumb knuckle. A bead of red rose and brightened the room's edges. He hid his hand under the table and slouched. Anna noticed and reached with a clean tissue. He let her hold it while watching me. Did you tell him to keep quiet? Her voice softened. Max glanced at me with a quick twitch and swallowed. He nodded once and the nod felt heavy. My mother shook her head and set her jaw. Something sour turned inside my chest. Anna opened the drawer and took out the family folder. She laid a form down with neat boxes and lines. Signature space sat empty beside her printed name. Who signed for the evaluation? She asked without blinking. The air between us went cold. My mother shifted her purse like it suddenly weighed more. A pin cap rattled and then stopped under leather. Anna waited and did not fill the silence. Max whispered my name and it sounded like a verdict. I felt the sweat crawl under my collar. Answer me. She placed a finger on the blank line. Every second stretched until it threatened to snap. I touched the table and pulled my hand back. The untouched line glared at me like a flare. My mother studied the ceiling as if summoned. I can't fix this unless you stop hiding. Her breath shook. Say what you did, she added and waited still. Max stared at his tissue and tried not to cry. I opened my mouth and shut it again. The doorbell rang like a trap. Anna didn't move for it, no one did. A second ring cut shorter and then a knock. Our neighbor's voice slipped through the door, muffled and curious. Everything okay? She called with a nervous laugh. Anna kept her eyes on me like a lock. Don't, my mother whispered while touching my sleeve. The whisper felt rehearsed and somehow late. I took one step toward Anna and stopped. Max's breath hitched and the tissue bled through. The blank line still waited for my name. I reached for the form and wrote the first letter. Anna's palm hovered over mine like a stop sign. Not there, her voice steady and cold. You'll write on a statement instead. My stomach tightened because she meant official. The neighbor knocked again, 2 short taps, then silence. Max squeezed the tissue until it tore. My mother slid a chair to block the view. "We are fine," she called without moving closer. I felt the lie tighten the air. Anna turned the phone camera on and set it down. "Say what you gave him," she said without blinking. The screen recorded our faces and our hands. My mother shifted her purse behind her heel. I understood the angle and the threat. "Release tablets," I said, voice rough and smaller. "Dosage left M. Y mouse like a number I hated. From a clinic I booked under my account." The words landed harder than I expected. Anna nodded once and waited for more. "Why did you cut me out?" she asked softly. I searched for courage and found only habit. "To control the pace," I heard myself answer. "To stop another spiral at school first." Her jaw clenched because control was the point. Max pressed his bandaged thumb against the table edge. A spot leaked through and spread. He watched it widen and stopped breathing for a beat. Anna moved a cloth under his wrist quickly. I felt every second argue with me. "Did Gran coach him to keep quiet?" she asked. Max looked at the floor and swallowed hard. My mother straightened and folded her arms. "Families handle home issues inside," she replied, light and careful. Anna's eyes flashed toward the door like a plan. "Pack a bag," she told Max without raising volume. He hesitated and glanced at me. "I'll bring you later," I managed through dry lips. Anna shook her head and opened the hall closet. This would not be negotiated tonight. My mother stepped between them with a small smile. "Let's cool off before we break things," she offered. Anna lifted the phone and started a new clip. "Move," she said while pointing at the floor. My mother held still for one dangerous beat. I reached for Max and stopped halfway. "Let me fix this at the clinic tomorrow." "Too late for secret fixes," Anna answered, eyes sharp. "You forged consent, then hid consequences." The word forged rang like metal in my ears. She placed a blank page in front of me. "Write an admission and a promise," she said. "Clear terms, no phrasing games, no loopholes." I dragged the pen down and forced letters out. My mother muttered about loyalty under her breath. "I'll step out if you keep recording," she warned. Anna widened the frame and included her face. "Good," she said and checked the time. Max zipped his bag with careful movements. I heard the zipper like a countdown. I wrote 3 lines and lifted the pen. "Louder," Anna said without looking up. I read each sentence into the phone slowly. My voice cracked on the last promise about honesty. Max stared at the doorway like a finish line. "Call the counselor now," Anna told me. I tapped the contact and hit speaker. The ringtone felt longer than it should. A calm voice answered and used my first name. I braced for the follow-through. "We need full notes sent to both parents," Anna began. "Include dates and recommendations and attendance." I added, "Flag my previous authorizations as disputed." Silence on the line stretched, then broke. "Understood," the voice replied with measured care. "Tomorrow morning 9, Anna continued without pause. "In person with documentation for medication and incidents." The counselor confirmed and asked for written consent. "I'll email tonight and bring ID," she said. My mother's eyebrows rose at the word ID. The call ended and the kitchen felt thinner. Anna lifted Max's bag and tested the weight. He moved to put on his shoes slowly. I reached out and touched his shoulder gently. He didn't lean in this time. "Are you coming back tonight?" I asked quietly. Anna watched me like I was a contract. "We're sleeping at Arena S," she answered with no heat. "Text when the statement is scanned and sent." My throat tightened because that meant distance. My mother reached for the door first and unlocked it. "Think about this," she urged with a brittle smile. Anna stepped past her and kept walking. Max followed with small, deliberate steps. The hallway swallowed their footsteps like a threat. I shut the door and turned to my mother. She opened her mouth and closed it again. "We can manage this privately," she tried once more. I stared at the phone, still recording. Something in me finally shifted. "I'm emailing the school and the doctor tonight," I said. "No more side arrangements, no more shadow decisions." She frowned and reached for the recording with quick fingers. I pulled it away and kept it running. Her face froze because she had lost leverage. I sat at the table and started scanning pages. The admission went first, then the meeting request. I attached the audio files and typed clear subjects. Every send button cost a piece of pride. I pressed them anyway because I had to. The phone vibrated before sunrise, new message from the counselor. Clinic must verify consent in person today, the text read. Bring original documents and medication container. I stared at the pill count I already knew was off. I felt the day loading like a drawn bow. Another message arrived from Anna a minute later. We'll be there at 9 sharp. Do not bring your mother. If she shows up, you leave. I typed understood and kept the screen open. Footsteps approached the kitchen and paused at the doorway. She reached for the bottle with a practiced motion. Let me handle the pickup, she offered chin high. I put the bottle in my jacket and zipped it. Her smile thinned until it stopped trying. How many did he take this week? I pressed the cap and counted in my head. The numbers refused to match what I had written. You changed the dose, I said, voice flat. Her eyelids flickered like a tell. That small bump steadied him, she replied without blinking. Everyone benefits when he sits through class. I opened the pharmacy log on my phone. 2 refills showed timestamps I had never approved. The screen felt hotter than my hands. I hit record and set the phone on the counter. How did you get refills without my login? She touched her purse and shifted her weight. Grandmothers learn systems faster than sons, she murmured. The admission landed and kept echoing. She noticed the camera lens and lunged for it. I stepped back and the chair scraped hard. Her fingers grazed the edge and slipped. I ducked into the bathroom and locked the door. My pulse beat against the wood like knocks. Through the door, she tried a softer tone. Delete that and we can regroup. You are making this public for no reason. I took photos of the label and batch code. I sent everything to Anna with 2 words, bringing this. The ride to the clinic passed in clipped breaths. She called twice and then stopped trying. At a light, she appeared in my rearview 2 cars back. Her turn signal blinked like a dare. I changed lanes and watched distance close. The waiting room doors slid open at 9. Anna sat straight with Max's backpack at her feet. The counselor looked up and gave a small nod. Nurse held a clipboard and checked the clock. I held the bottle like a subpoena. Identification and custody documentation. Anna placed hers first and glanced toward the entrance. I handed mine and set the medication down. We need to examine that against the chart. The nurse's eyes narrowed at the lot number. She brought the doctor out with the file. This code does not match our dispensing records. Where did this come from? I glanced toward the doors and saw her arrive. Anna's hands tightened around the backpack strap. Please wait outside until called, the nurse instructed. She smiled politely and stayed where she stood. Security moved closer without touching anyone. Max watched everything and put a finger to his lips. The counselor noticed the gesture and wrote something. Who taught you that quiet sign? Max stared at the floor and drew it again. Anna's eyes followed the motion and then shifted to me. I nodded once because hiding time had ended. I asked him to keep things short, I admitted. List every dose this week on paper. I started writing while the doctor checked the bottle. He pointed at the count and then at my sheet. You're 4 tablets beyond your stated plan. My stomach lurched at the math. Grandma modified the dose without authorization. The room stilled at that one sentence. Anna closed her eyes for a beat and opened them. Put that in writing again, the counselor urged. I wrote it larger and underlined it twice. Security guided her to the hallway with calm hands. She argued but moved when the nurse raised a palm. The door settled and the room felt brighter. No one spoke for 3 long breaths. I waited for the next demand. Immediate safety plan, the doctor began. Pause medication today for evaluation. School will receive a written update from both caregivers. All communication flows to both emails at once. My pen hovered and then scratched across the form. Anna added one more condition with a steady voice. No unsupervised contact with our child by grandmother. Review in 2 weeks with written notes. She placed the paper in front of me and waited. I signed where she pointed. The counselor opened a fresh folder and set timelines. Daily check-ins this week before dismissal. Behavior plan to be co-signed and filed. Any changes trigger an immediate joint call. Each line locked another door behind us. The doctor turned the bottle toward the camera. Photo logged to the chart, he said for the file. Chain of custody starts now. He sealed it in a clear pouch and labeled it. I felt relief and dread take the same chair. The nurse returned with a printed acknowledgement. Final review and signatures, she said calmly. I read every line and found no traps. Anna watched my face until I reached the last clause. I signed again and kept the pen. The door cracked open and she peeked inside. Security stopped her with a quiet look. She mouthed my name and tapped her wrist. I shook my head once and held the pouch up. Her eyes cooled into strategy. Anna stood and lifted Max's backpack. We're leaving with him now. See you tonight after you email the school. Her voice carried no tremor, only steps. Max glanced back and gave a small wave. The counselor handed me a checklist for the day. Send confirmation within 2 hours. Attach scanned copies and the photo log. Then schedule the classroom meeting. I folded the sheet and felt the weight of it. I walked out and met her in the hallway. She waited by the elevator with clenched jaw. You will regret this, she whispered with a practiced smile. I kept moving and pressed the down button. Her reflection burned into the closing doors. The school rang again while I crossed the parking lot. Your mother is here to collect him without authorization. Do not release, I answered before the sentence finished. I broke into a jog and heard my heart drum harder. She stood at the desk with papers clutched tight. Family rights, she announced while smiling at the receptionist. I stepped between them and pointed at the new form. Release only to us two today and every day. Anna arrived breathless with a quick nod for staff. She handed over copies and kept her jaw firm. Document this attempted pickup with time and witnesses. My mother's smile flattened into something colder. Overreaction, she muttered and lifted her phone to film. Security drifted closer with polite distance and steady eyes. Please stop recording inside student areas, the receptionist added gently. My mother lowered the camera but not the challenge. The counselor emerged holding a printed notice. Mandatory safety review, she said for the room. Medication irregularities require a report to social services. Air shifted as if the walls had listened first. I signed acknowledgement and felt my wrist tremble. Anna initialed each box and kept count aloud. The counselor set a time for an evening call. My mother started laughing and it sounded practiced. You're turning on your own mother for optics. I lifted my palm and kept my voice even. Return the spare key now before this gets worse. Her eyes flashed and the purse stayed closed. Anna faced her with measured calm. You are not on the pickup list. Any interference becomes a written incident. The word interference hit like a door swinging shut. Security escorted her to the sidewalk without touching her. She paced the curb and texted nonstop. My phone lit with threats disguised as advice. I forwarded every message to the same evidence thread. The bell rang and kids poured down the stairwell. Max spotted us and hesitated at the bottom step. Anna crouched and opened her arms, calm and steady. He walked into them and glanced over her shoulder. Gran can visit when the plan allows, Anna told him calmly. We follow the paper now and keep you safe. He nodded slowly and squeezed her sleeve twice. I caught his eye and matched the rhythm. We met the principal for a 2-minute briefing. Classroom plan begins tomorrow with clear cues. Any escalation prompts a call to both parents. We agreed and signed and didn't sit down. Outside, my mother waited near the crosswalk with folded arms. Come with me for dinner, she called to Max. Anna's spine straightened like a drawn line. I stepped forward and blocked the path. Stop, I said with no movement beyond the word. She lifted her chin and scanned the sidewalk cameras. Everyone knows who actually shows up, she replied coolly. Max tightened his grip on Anna without a sound. I dialed a locksmith before starting the engine. Emergency rekey today, I told the dispatcher. Anna listened and gave me a short nod. Her mouth softened just enough to read hope. At home, the locksmith worked while I packed a bag. 2 boxes for her personal things and nothing sentimental. I placed the boxes near the lobby desk quietly. The doorman logged them and raised one eyebrow. I texted her a photo of the receipt. Collect tonight from the front desk only. Do not enter the apartment again. 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then came back. You are ungrateful and easily influenced. I muted the thread and blocked the number. Another message came from a different contact immediately. I can call the police for a welfare check. The social worker called at 5 on the dot. Verified receipt of the report and medication chain. We will conduct a home visit within 48 hours. Please confirm that the grandmother does not provide care. I confirm and I accept full responsibility, I answered. My throat tightened as the words left for good. She paused and asked if Anna had any concerns. I imagine she has plenty, I said and meant it. Send photos of the lock change and the new plan. Attach the clinic instruction and the teacher schedule. I sent everything while she stayed on the line. Her final note mentioned custody risk if plans break again. Anna texted an address for dinner at her sister's place. Come at 7 for 30 minutes supervised. Bring the homework note and the behavior sheet. I typed yes and sat down for the first time. I arrived early and waited outside on purpose. Anna opened the door and stepped back just enough. Max ran to show a small sticker chart. I knelt and listened while the clock counted us. 2 stars today, he whispered with a shy smile. 3 tomorrow if I raise my hand. Anna watched our faces and let the silence hold. That quiet felt like trust moving an inch. We talked about logistics and bedtime and transport. I offered shared breakfasts 3 days a week. Anna considered and asked for a trial next week. I agreed because bargaining with time beats losing it. My phone buzzed again with a hidden number. A clipped voice announced a wellness check request. Anonymous caller mentioned neglect and unstable environment. He was already in the lobby downstairs asking for entry. Anna looked at me and then at the hallway. We handle this clean and together, she said. Do not argue and do not volunteer extra. We took the elevator down while my chest hammered. The officer stood with a clipboard and neutral eyes. Routine follow-up based on a complaint. Anna produced the clinic letter and the school update. He read and asked if a relative had been denied access. Yes, I answered and kept my hands still. She attempted pickup against written policy today. He wrote that down and asked for recent changes. I showed the Reiki photo and the custody plan. He nodded once and closed the folder. No further action tonight given current documentation. Call us if anyone pressures the child again. He left and the lobby exhaled with us. Back upstairs, Anna stopped at the doorway. You can join us for story time tomorrow. 7:30 sharp and bring breakfast milk. Her voice hid nothing and promised only structure. I walked home with the boxes gone from the desk. The apartment felt spare and useful for once. I opened the laptop and drafted one more email. Subject line simple, temporary boundary and contact rules. I listed the pickup ban and the communication rule. I added no house visits without written agreement. I wrote consequences with dates and attached the statement. Then I hit send and waited for the next move. The first email bounced back undeliverable because my mother blocked me. I forwarded the boundary notice to her work address instead. Then I printed the same letter and slid it under her door. My phone flashed unknown caller while the paper caught. I let it ring again because ambush travels fast. Anna texted a photo of Max's homework line. Read for 15 minutes and sign. Video call at 8 to show the chart. I answered yes and cleared the table. My mother called again with a different number. I picked up on speaker and set the phone down. Withdraw the report and I'll return the spare key. Her tone carried sugar over something sharp. I kept my hands flat and watched the seconds pass. You created a record, it does not vanish. You always overreact, she snapped and clicked her tongue. I enrolled him in a better clinic already. Paperwork done, appointment Friday afternoon. I opened my laptop and started a recording. Cancel that now or I contact their director. You wouldn't dare fight your own mother. I stared at the blinking red dot and decided. I will copy every agency and the school board. Silence bloomed, then a hiss I recognized too well. She hung up and the threat stayed. A new email arrived from an unknown account. Subject line shouted with my son's name in caps. Attached forms listed me as sole decision maker. Digital signature carried a me. S spelled middle initial. I felt heat rise because that error was mine once. I forwarded the forged packet to the clinic immediately. Not hours, their reply arrived within 2 minutes. We will notify the network and flag all requests. Anna wrote back one line, bring everything tonight. I gathered each printout and checked the timestamps twice. At 7, the doorbell rang with a buzz. A courier held an envelope stamped private. Inside, a notarized letter appointed my mother as guardian. The notary used a date from last month. I photographed it and called the number on the stamp. Verification please, I asked with my voice steady. The notary stammered and asked for a document code. He read a serial that did not match the seal. I never signed this in person, he admitted quickly. I will issue a fraud statement by morning. I drove to Anna's sister's apartment with the folder. Anna met me outside and glanced at the envelope edge. Any contact attempts since you sent the rules. I handed her the forgeries and watched her eyes harden. We walked in together and kept our steps even. Max looked up from a puzzle and brightened. Reading time now, he announced like a broadcaster. He handed me the book and leaned into my side. Anna watched his shoulders ease while I began. Words flowed like a rope pulling us forward. Halfway through, my phone lit with a live stream. My mother was outside our building with a selfie stick. Caption read, son kidnapped by vindictive wife. Comments flooded with strangers picking sides in seconds. I tasted copper because this would spread fast. Anna's face went still while the video played. Turn sound off and record the screen. We captured the clip with time and location. Her sister called a friend who handled defamation cases. Save everything and do not engage, the advice came crisp. Max spun the fidget ring on his finger slowly. Gran is angry again, he whispered into my sleeve. I placed his hand on the page and nodded. Finish this chapter and count the stars. He focused and read the next line without wobble. After the call, we drafted a short statement together. False claims online will be addressed by counsel. All decisions documented with professionals and school. Child's privacy will be protected. We posted once from both accounts, then stopped. The building intercom buzzed at 9 on the dot. Delivery for Anna from the clinic, the lobby voice announced. She frowned and checked her phone for confirmation. No message, no appointment, no record. We went down together and braced. A woman in scrubs held a sealed bag and clipboard. Medication drop for the afternoon plan. Anna folded her arms and stepped back. Who placed this order and when? The woman checked the sheet and blinked twice. Pickup authorized by grandmother at 4:15. The name line carried Anna's last name incorrectly. I photographed the form and the delivery tag. Return this to origin and record refusal. The woman nodded and retreated fast. Back upstairs, Max asked about tomorrow's schedule. School first, then snack, then story time. Gran, he asked with a small tilt. Not until the plan changes, I answered gently. He breathed out and repeated the word plan. Anna opened her laptop and typed without breaking rhythm. A motion for a temporary protective order filled the screen. She pasted the screenshots and the delivery incident. Judge will see this in the morning. I signed my affidavit while my hands shook, not weak. My phone vibrated with a voicemail from my aunt. Your mother is on her way to your place. She has a locksmith with her and 2 boxes. I grabbed my coat and looked at Anna. Record everything if she reaches the door. We beat them to my building by 5 minutes. The concierge lifted a hand and pointed outside. A van idled near the curb with tools visible. I hit video and stepped into their path. Turn around or I call the police now. The locksmith glanced at the work order and frowned. The tenant must be present with ID. She is the owner, my mother snapped with a brittle laugh. She is not on the lease, I answered and showed papers. He closed his kit and backed away slowly. She pivoted to the boxes and shoved them at me. Your childhood things, take them and remember. One box split and papers spilled onto the sidewalk. Among them, a blank consent form with my signature traced. I lifted it up and captured every angle. A patrol car pulled up as neighbors gathered. The officer stepped out and checked our faces. I told you this would escalate, I said quietly. He reviewed the protective request on Anna's phone. He issued a trespass warning while writing fast. My mother stared at me like a stranger who wants a name. You will call me when your little plan collapses. She climbed into the rideshare and slammed the door. The van pulled away and my legs finally shook. I knew the next swing would aim lower. Upstairs, Anna sent the final packet to the courthouse. Urgent hearing requested for morning at 9. Bring the bottle photo and the delivery refusal. She looked at me for a long measured beat. Choose clean lines tonight or we lose ground. I opened a new message to every relative group. Until further notice, no unsupervised contact with our child. All inquiries go through email, no exceptions. Posting about him will be treated as harassment. I pressed send and imagined the replies forming. Max called to show me the filled sticker row. He lifted the chart and counted slowly with pride. Tomorrow I get a bigger star, he whispered. Anna smiled with tired eyes and kissed his hair. I felt something unlock that still needed a key. Before leaving, I placed the pouch of evidence on the counter. Anna tapped it twice and met my gaze. Walk in tomorrow ready to own every mistake. I will, I answered and meant it finally. Down the hallway, I heard a phone start recording again. I woke to the gavel time 9 already in my calendar. Anna texted one word here outside the courthouse doors. I grabbed the evidence pouch and the printed orders. Today would either stitch the wound or rip it wider. At security, my mother argued about phones and public access. Her voice carried just enough to draw curious eyes. Anna walked past without looking and signed the appearance sheet. I followed and felt every stare sharpen like pins. Inside, the clerk called our names and pointed to seats. My mother stood near the aisle with a rigid smile. Temporary order first, then contact terms, the clerk announced. I tightened my grip on the pouch and waited for impact. The judge entered and scanned the file quickly. Alleged unauthorized medication changes and online harassment, he read. Requests for restraint and controlled exchanges. He lifted an eyebrow at the delivery attempt note. I kept breathing because running would not help now. Testify to the medication chain, he instructed without ceremony. I stepped forward and placed the pouch on the ledge. Photo logged, bottle seized, mismatched lot code documented. My voice stayed steady because practice became survival. He nodded and turned to Anna for confirmation. She presented the school plan and the refusal slip. Her tone never wavered and her hand stayed still. The judge asked about risk and immediate harm. Anna answered with measured detail in short phrases. Each answer cut through excuses like a clean blade. My mother lifted a stack of papers with flair. Grandparent involvement improves academic outcomes, she announced brightly. She waved an appointment card addressed to a new office. The judge frowned at the mismatch between dates and names. He asked where consent was recorded for that visit. She gestured at a photocopy with my forged middle initial. I watched the notary's fraud statement slide across the bench. The judge examined the serial and compared the seal. Invalid, he said without raising his voice. Something in my chest unclenched and demanded more courage. He turned back to me and waited. Do you accept full responsibility for hiding decisions? I lifted my eyes and chose the hardest path. Yes, I answered with no cushion and no hedge. I won't do that again, and it is in writing. He signed the protective order with swift strokes. No contact by grandmother outside scheduled public visits. No pickups, no medical changes, no online mentions. Violations trigger immediate enforcement. The stamp hit paper like a door locking twice. My mother exhaled a brittle laugh and crossed her arms. Your wife manipulated you to bury your own parent. No one reacted because the record already spoke. The judge looked over his glasses and paused. Any further editorializing will remove you from this room. We moved to exchange logistics and safe locations. Anna suggested the library lobby with visible cameras. I added a neutral monitor for the first 2 weeks. The judge agreed and set concrete times and durations. My mother stared at the clock like it owed her minutes. As we exited, a bailiff approached with a printout. "There's a live post targeting your child's teacher." He handed me the screenshot with the timestamp. The username was new, but the writing was familiar. Anna's jaw tightened and her eyes didn't blink. Back in the hallway, I dialed the officer from last night. "Order granted and a new post up now." He asked for the link and the court number. "On my way," he said, voice clipped and focused. We waited near the elevators and listened for boots. Max's school called while we waited for the officer. Anonymous complaint about disciplinary bias just arrived. I held the phone out so Anna could hear. "We have your paperwork and the court confirmation," they said. "Student remains in class and staff are briefed." The officer met us by the stairs with purpose. He read the order, then the post, "And my messages. Enough for a warning and documentation," he concluded. "We will deliver notice today and monitor responses." Anna nodded once and pressed her lips together. On the street, my mother blocked our path with stubborn grace. "You will miss me when this marriage collapses." Anna didn't break stride and neither did I. The officer stepped between us and held up the notice. She skimmed it, flinched, and backed toward the curb. We reached the library lobby at the appointed hour. The monitor signed us in and took a seat nearby. Max arrived with Anna's sister and spotted the sticker chart. He ran to show me the new row with quiet pride. I crouched and matched his rhythm with 2 gentle taps. My mother entered 5 minutes late and scanned the cameras. The monitor raised a hand and pointed to the rule sheet. "Talk only about today and neutral topics," he reminded. She sat and smiled at Max with polished restraint. He looked at the rule sheet, then at me, then nodded. "Did you build anything cool in class?" He described a bridge with coins and tape. He asked if patience counts as a superpower now. "It does when it keeps people safe," I answered carefully. His shoulders settled as if the chair finally fit. My mother tried to slip in a question about doctors. The monitor cleared his throat and tapped the policy. She swallowed the rest and spoke about weekend puzzles. The minutes crawled, but they stayed inside the lines. I felt the value of boring guardrails for the first time. After the visit, the monitor logged the report and stamped it. "Compliance recorded and behavior appropriate," he wrote aloud. "Next session set for the same place and time." My mother left without a parting shot or grand exit. The quiet she left behind felt complicated and earned. Outside, Anna stopped under the awning and studied my face. "You followed the rules even when it hurt." "I noticed," she added, voice steady and clear. I nodded and tried not to reach too far. Trust moves like a slow elevator, and I stood still. We walked Max to the car and checked the list. She asked if I could handle mornings twice a week. With the plan on the fridge and messages mirrored. "Non-negotiable," she added with a tiny lift of an eyebrow. "Yes," I said before doubt could build a case. My phone buzzed with a final email from the platform. Defamation complaint accepted and content removed. Account linked to prior warnings for targeted harassment. I showed Anna the subject and the case number. She nodded and tucked the phone back in her pocket. At home, I opened the shared inbox and sent confirmations. School schedule attached. Visit report attached. Orders scanned and archived. One small system, no shadows, no shortcuts, no lies.